It's been a while, but we are back. Well, hello there, Slot family. I know it's been a while since I put out a video. There are a lot of reasons for that. As I've mentioned many times before, slot cars, for me, it's a hobby. It's not an obsession. For some people it is, and that's great because that way, we're assured of getting plenty of great content out there throughout the whole year. For me, it's kind of a seasonal thing. I mean, I'm kind of interested. I follow along. I watch what's going on over the whole course of the year. But, often when we get into the summer months, my interests kind of go other places. I'm one of those people, I have a lot of different interests, and I have to devote some time to those things and other projects around the house. So, I take some time off and, take care of some of those things. And then once winter and the holidays are past, it's kind of my peak slot car season. So I kind of get back in the flow of things, and that's where I'm at right now. So I just wanted to, let some of the slot car family know where I've been and what I've been doing. And so I'll just, want to go through some of those things. Once we get into May, June, July, that's pool time. We have a pool on the backyard. It takes a lot of time to get all that stuff out, set it up, and, and then I like to just, relax out there with some Coronas and, or whatever, and enjoy my time with the wife out there and the family, and we'll have friends over, and it takes up a lot of the time during the summer month. Also, I spent some time. I had to build a shed out back. I had a shed. It's like a an 8x12 shed, but that's full of outdoor furniture and pool equipment and all that kind of stuff. I found out I didn't have any space for my tools, and by tools I mean my outdoor tools, all my rakes, shovels, all the kind of things you use in the lawn, blowers, trimmers, all those kind of things. My winter storage for my snow blower and for my lawn mower, all those kind of things. I had a space between an old trellis swing that I had built many, many years ago, and I built it on the back of that, and you see some pictures of that. So now I have a place to store that stuff. So that took me some time because I'm, when it comes to building things, and if my track is, an example of that, I'm pretty slow and pretty methodical about how I do things. I kind of, sometimes build things on the fly. So that's where I was with that. Had a lot of family events. We had my son and daughter-in-law, my daughter and my son-in-law in town with my first grandchild for her first birthday in September. There was a lot of things to get ready for that. We had them in then. We also had them in Thanksgiving. We also had them back in for Christmas, which was nice. But again, like everything during the season, there's lots of things to, prepare for that. My wife and I also got into doing some fall hiking. We have a great national park here. It's the Cauga Valley National Park, just between Akron and Cleveland. We took a lot of hikes there. There's also a great metro park system around the city of Akron and in our Summit County. And we decided to get in on the fall hiking spree. So we earned our hiking staffs, and we did like about 10 or 12 different trails through October, November. That was kind of fun. So that was another thing. And then as we got towards the holidays, I got back into one of my other hobbies, which was audio equipment, stereos. I have several old stereos and some equipment that I got back into working order, set up, and got some accessories and things for, and got those set up. So now I have a really nice sound system downstairs where I have my track as well. So that's pretty nice. So now this is a time of year I want to, I'm trying to get back in the flow of things, focus on the track some more, and I've been doing that. I've been focusing on getting the wiring set up. Before I could just test cars, but I didn't have driver stations set up. I couldn't really race or anything. So I wanted to get that squared away. I've got that done now. I've got the power set up for the track. I've got, dual power, one for each lane. Nothing fancy, but again, it serves my purposes. And I'm ready to go there. Also got some systems set up so I can do some, timing, some race management things there. So I've got that squared away, and I'll show you that. But again, getting back into the flow and things, one of those things is just been watching a lot of YouTube, and I'm, happy to see that we've got a lot of new channels coming up, some really fun stuff, some new faces there, and that's always a good thing for me, because it makes me, I don't feel so bad if I go a little while and I'm not doing videos. There's plenty of other people, like I said before, to pick up the pace and fill the void, and we're really we're really lucky right now. We're really rich when it comes to the amount of content for slot cars that we're seeing out there, and that's always good. One thing I do want to mention right now is how thankful I am for the subscribers out there, people who hung in there, who kept subscribing, even though I wasn't putting out any new videos. I think, when I last put out a video, I had just over 800, and I kept checking back every once in a while, and then a couple weeks ago I was at 1,000. It's like, okay, I've got this many more people. I really haven't done much of anything, and I really owe it to the the community to get out there and get back to work and get doing some stuff. So again, as we hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, I'm really thankful for that. Now we're just got past it a little bit, and that's great. I hope people will continue to subscribe. That's something that really drives me, because I don't I don't do anything paid. I don't do memberships or anything like that, and I don't intend to. Part of that would put pressure, because then you have to do content. If people are doing that, and for me personally, it's nice to be able to. All right, if I need to take some time off, I can do it without feeling guilty about it. So that's a reason there. So again, I want to thank those people who continue to watch and subscribe. That's really great. So now I'm going to show you some of the things I've been doing on the track, and we'll take a look at that. So I just wanted to show you a few of the things I've been working on. Primarily, it's getting the track wired up so I can actually race on it and keep times. So this is one of my driver stations I put in. Basically got it wired up here. I've added brakes to the Art system so I can use that. I just got my controllers here. I got these grips, and then these are just simple, cheap things I got from the hardware store. They go right in there, really nice, holds them securely. I've got one there. Obviously got another one over here. Got a hanging spot here so I can clean the tires off. And the other nice handy thing is here we got our drink holder, so we can put that in there when we need it. Nice and convenient, works really well. As far as power goes, I've got power set up here. I just went with this inexpensive separate power for each lane. These work fine for me. I don't use more than about 12 volts anyway. So 2 of these adjustable. Again, I can turn it down if I need to. If I have kids come over or something like that. Got a subwoofer I put under there, and then there's also some speakers up on top here. You'll see in the back. Those will be hidden by some buildings, but that's basically it was like a computer speaker system that I've adopted for this use, and those will hook into this TV, which will again be hooked in either mirroring or by HDMI to the Android tablet I picked up that I'll be running Smart Race on. I didn't want to have it up above, because I found if I hung it up here on the wall, I'd be looking away from the track. I found it fell much more naturally into my view if I hung it below the track. And to do that on this door, I just have some, you'll see some eye hooks. It just hangs on there. There's a little hole there for the wiring to go through. It can be removed easily if I need to, when I need to, open that big door up. So, but that's a setup here. I've got this pretty much squared away now, so I can, get back to getting the scenery in line. Just wanted to check today. I've been running some cars, and the temps, if you can see that, 59 degrees. So, I mean, the track temperature, I've checked a couple places, it's between 60 and 62. The temperature down here is 59.5, 60 degrees roughly. So that's where we are. It does affect the grip on the track a little bit, but it's okay for most of the cars. One interesting thing about that, maybe caught at the end, is the track temperature. I started a thread on Home Racing World just last night, actually, asking other people about that, because I noticed, the basement, my basement, it's nice and dry, which is good. In fact, I keep most of my books down there. But it's cool. I think the temperature down there, and you'll see, it's almost 60 degrees on the track surface, not much higher, the air temperature. And I noticed the other day I was, putting some cars on to test, and it was significant, a little less grip than I normally experience. And I was trying to think back, I know some of those tires are older and harder than they were before, but I was curious about how other people, experience that. I know some people have, they have their tracks up in their house upstairs where it's, perfectly comfortable, warm environment. A lot of people have them in the basements, and those can vary, whether they're humid or dry, really cold, or, if they have some heating down there. Some people have them out in their garages, which is also, provides its own challenges out there. So I was curious what other people were experiences with track temperature over the various seasons. So if you have any thoughts on that, put it in the, comments, because I'd be curious too, or either that thread is on Home Racing World, and I know some people have chimed in on that. I'm really interested to, hear what other people's experiences are. So I've also done some lighting on the track. See a couple pictures here of, some lighting I've done. I wanted to add a little drama for night racing and other things like that. So you can see I did that. Again, that was pretty simple. Those are lights that basically you put on the back of a TV for TV backlighting. Got two 10-foot lengths, ran that through, and they go into a, USB plug into the power supply. And then I got some new cars, so we'll talk about those now. All right, now get around to showing some of those cars. If you notice in the open, back in black was our theme, so that just showing off, give you a closer look at some of the cars I just managed to pick up. This one is the slot.it Lola. I have another black one, but it's a slightly different model, and it's black and gold, very pretty. I saw this one. Sometimes I like these cars as just a slight variation on a theme, so I picked this one up. Again, the price was really nice. I've already had this on the track, and it runs really well. Another car I got, another black one here, which you saw at the open, was a Rondo. It is the, let's see, from Le Mans 1980, and this car was one that I've wanted for a while. It's a Le Mans Miniatures, and it's it's a really beautiful car. Now you'll notice here one of these little wings on the side. When I bought it, it was missing. I'm gonna have to fabricate another one of those. I don't know how that happened, but this car is practically new. If it's had any track time at all, it hasn't had much. The best thing about this was I paid about 60 some bucks for it. You know, these cars are normally well over $100, and part of that is this, and I have no problem fixing that. But yeah, that was a great deal, and this is a car I really wanted. There's a handful of Le Mans miniatures that you know, I like, that I really want, and this was one of them. So I was, you know, happy to get that. Other thing interesting about this car was, you know, everybody badmouths these about how they drive. You know, expect to put them on the track, and you know, they go around the track like, you know, an old lady with a walker. That was not my experience. This car actually ran quite good, really well on the track. I mean, obviously it could use some additional tuning and stuff, but ran much better than I expected. So that was pleasant to see. Obviously, a car like that, though, not going to run it a lot on the track. A couple other new ones I picked up. And I like my old classic flies, and I do have a Porsche Carrera 6, one I've had before, but I always like to have two of something. And I managed to pick up this one, which was a really nice looking blue model. I have the other one I have is white, but this was a really nice looking car. These flies, and these aren't always easy to come by. And there's a lot of fly cars out there that they're almost like a dime a dozen. You see them all the time. But these Carrera 6 cars are not that common. They're a little bit harder to find, so I was happy to get that. And then the last one I picked up here was a fly racing. And my favorite 911 GT1 is this 98. And I have a couple other ones. I have an old Carrera, and I have a couple other flies, but I picked up this one. And again, this is a racing model. It's got aluminum wheels and, you know, racing a chassis, and it's everybody's telling me these are really fast, so I wanted to use this as something I could, you know, test with a little bit just to see what I could do with it. The other main reason I picked this up was the color blue. I can't think of any easier way to get a Golf livery on a car. I can get some striping and some Golf logos and numbers and turn this into a really easy Golf livery. So that's what I'm going to do with that one. Hey, thanks for watching. Just a quick reminder, if you really like this kind of content, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And you can also visit us on Facebook and Instagram. Again, thanks for watching. So the question might be, what are we going to do next? Now that I have the track set up, we can do some timed runs and some testing on there. I'm going to work on that a little bit. What I like to do is maybe do some tests with cars of the same type but different manufacturers, some new cars compared to old cars of the same model, just to see what we do there. So I've got some ideas there. Of course, we're going to get back to the buildings. I've still got lots of stuff in the can from last summer when I was working on some buildings and some detailing there. I want to show you some of that. We'll get back into that. Plus, I'm adding lighting to those buildings. We'll show you how we do that. Also, my touch on 3D printing, which is something that it's, as we all know, that's really useful to the hobby. My experience has been kind of interesting. I started out with a filament printer, an Ender 3, which is probably one of the most common and most popular printers out there. And it took me a little while to get it, you know, dialed in, to get some good results. And I was using it for parts and pieces and things, but I was also using it for figures. And I had it dialed in where I was getting pretty good results with, you know, figures in 1/32 scale. And I had done quite a few. Then I ran into a situation where I was running something, the spool ran out, and it just sat in the, you know, the hot end of the machine and got all gunked up, and replaced the hot end. And then I also had to try to recalibrate the bed. Just was having no luck at all. I couldn't get it to feed. I think the things with the gears that actually feeds was off. I got a new part on that and never installed it, which is I'm going to do now to try to get that thing up and running. My biggest disappointment was I bought a Creatality Hallet 1 resin printer. And I bought that printer, and I bought the washing station, and the curing station with the lights and that. I've used that thing 3 times, and I've never gotten a decent print out of it. I don't know what it is. I followed the directions to the letter. I've got some of the water-soluble resin on that, and just had no luck at all getting any prints out of it. And the more I thought about it, it is just so messy. Those resins are toxic, and it's like, and they don't smell that great. Even the water soluble ones, you still have to be careful with it, how you handle them and how you get rid of them. And after much thought, it's like I don't want to screw around with it anymore. It's just something I don't want to bother with. So that Hallet one, I'm gonna clean it up again. 3 uses on that machine, and pack it up in the washing station. And I'm probably gonna, I don't know, I might sell it. If somebody out there is interested, if you're close by, you could maybe come and get it. I might even give it away and ship it to somebody if you promise to, if you can get it working, to print me some stuff on it. We'll see. But that's something that I'm gonna handle, because my goal is I want to get a Bamboo A1 Mini, which is they're not available right now. They probably will be in a few weeks. They're just they ran out of them. And if you've seen some of the output on those, it's a filament printer. It's incredible. It's almost as good as anything, some of the things I've seen from resin. Not quite, but it's good enough, and even much better than what I was getting out of the Ender, even when I had that set up pretty good. So I think that's the way I'm going to go, as I can use that for other stuff too. But again, that's where I'm heading there. So that's all for this time around. Again, thanks for all the people who stuck with the channel over time. We're going to get some more content out for you, and looking forward to seeing everybody, and go out there and get on that table, get those controllers, and get racing. Have fun.